Architecture is a collection of many disciplines, and it's the role of the architect to integrate these disciplines in the design of a building. And like structural, like building physics, like lighting design, the aspect of sustainability, of having a more sustainable design, is one of the many disciplines we have to work with. Whenever there was a new aspect in architecture in the past, it made itself very important in the beginning. Think about the Eiffel Tower. Engineering was just invented in architecture, and it made itself very visual, very important, very in your face. Nowadays we can let the high-rises dance. The engineering is so far developed that it is not the main aspect at high-rise buildings anymore. So other aspects can express themselves. And the same right now happens with the aspects of sustainability. Once we master the subject, it will be one of the disciplines like all the other disciplines. When we work on design, for us, the human being, the people, are always the center of our thought. Because in the end, that's the purpose of these buildings. To enable people to use them, to live with them, to live in them. You have to look that they have the optimum light. It must be comfortable. It must be energy conscious. It must be many things. But also it must be or must fulfill its responsibility of being a cultural asset. We cannot avoid architecture. We can avoid to go in a museum, we can avoid to go in a concert, but we cannot avoid architecture. We are always exposed to it. Architecture is more than just a cultural asset or just a functioning machine. It has to be all things, and that is not easy to achieve.
First you see the technology, and it's very well thought out, and that's also why we invited him. But he puts the human aspect central in the work, and the people using the building are really important to him. So that's what I like about his work as well.
It's the first time I'm teaching here at Delft. It's a very good school. Architectural education is a very autodidactic education. And the school only can provide the opportunity. Architects should develop their own skills, and they should develop their own approach to architecture. We think the architectural scope or task is not only design, it's also delivering. It's also managing and integrating all the technical aspects of architecture, also managing on site, doing site supervision, a very thorough site supervision, quality control, organization of the site, and so on. And for us, it's very satisfying to work on all these different scales, from big building to small building to interior to products to furniture and so on, because it gives a wholeness to the buildings. Our profession, architecture, with all its disciplines, is not very complicated. It's only in some fields highly specialized, and I would leave that to the highly trained specialists. But we have to understand enough to see opportunities, to see challenges, to see possibilities. If you don't understand structure, you'll never be as good as an engineer. But if you don't understand the principles of structure, they can tell you whatever they want. And a lot of people in our profession, consultants, engineers or whatever, they have a tendency to do what they have done for the last 20 years. So innovation is not possible anymore if we don't control the process. I really would advise students to be interested, to be curious about all these fields. And maybe if you do practice, if you do internships, do 2 internships with an architect and 1 internship with a structural engineer or climate engineer, not to learn their field, but to be able to understand the discussion also from the other side of the table.